Ngā nui kia koutou katoa. Kia kaha Te Reo Māori for Te Reo Māori Week in New Zealand. A celebration of the 50th year of celebrating Māori Language Week in New Zealand. A really cool week. So hence my my lovely t-shirt that I managed to get today from a local Māori producer. Ehoa is the Māori word for friend. So there we go. Ehoa in the Friends logo. There you go. So welcome in to supporting diverse learners with accessibility tools. There you go. So te he Māori ora, ina maunga whakahi ina waituku kiri ki te tupuna tēnā koe tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome in. And I'll pass it across to you, Chris, across the other side of the ditch.
And just for the record, Steve, you weren't here last month, so I had a crack at that, and I probably butchered it, but at least I
look, learning. We're always learning, mate. Give it a go. Give it a go.
On this side of the ditch, I am in Bidjigal country at the moment, which is the southern suburbs of Sydney, although I normally live in Ngunnawal country, which is what otherwise is known as Canberra. But I'm in Sydney at the moment. But I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands upon which we're meeting today, wherever it is for you, honour their continuing connection to land, water and skies, and recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities' strength and resilience in the face of colonisation. All right, my name is Chris Betcher. I am from a little company called Crux Learning, and I used to work with my friend here, Steve.
Indeed, and we kind of still work together, don't we? Even though you're out there. You're in your own thing now, Mr. Betcher, living your best life.
Yeah.
And kia ora, folks. I'm Steve. I'm the program manager for Google for Education, working across Australia and New Zealand now as well.
And so thanks everyone for joining today. We have a special guest today. I'm very excited. Alfina Jackson. Alfina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Alfina. I'm coming from Biripi country, which is on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. I'm currently at my school in Laurelton, but my home is Port Macquarie. I'm a primary teacher. I teach STEM and digital technologies at a little tiny school and loving it.
Fantastic. And our theme today is talking about some accessibility options and making it easier for every learner, not just some learners. And Alfina has, I think, a great story to tell when it comes to that. So we'll get to that in just a sec. Again, thanks to everyone for joining today. We do this every month. It's called Learn with Google, the Thursday of every month. Today, as I say, we're talking about supporting diverse learners with accessibility tools. We'll do the change log as usual. I have a couple of little hot tip things I'm going to throw in as well. And if we have time at the end, we'll open it up for questions. All right. Just a reminder that we do record these. They do go up to YouTube. I know it's so cliche to hear people say, please like, comment and subscribe, but honestly, it does make a difference, I've discovered. So if you want to stumble over to our YouTube channel and hit that like button or subscribe, we would really appreciate it. Okay, Alfina, I'm handing over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Steve. So my story is that I'm actually someone with a disability. I am hard of hearing. I have a moderate to severe sensory and neural hearing loss, and I have lived with that since I was a little girl in primary school. So I understand the importance of accessibility. I'm also a parent to a neurodivergent child whose previous experiences before he came to his current school on accessibility was a bit of a fight. So again, understand from the parent perspective. And also as a teacher, I'm a qualified teacher of the deaf as well, not currently working in that field, but I do have experience over the last few years working with children who are deaf, hard of hearing, not just as their main disability, but as one of many disabilities that they have or diagnoses. So for me, supporting students with additional needs, when I talk about additional needs, I'm not just talking about those with a diagnosis. When I think about a classroom, there's children who are diagnosed. There are children who are twice exceptional. And for those who don't know that term, that means, like my son, highly gifted, but also has a diagnosis, neurodivergence diagnosis, where he needs support to get to his full potential. There's also children who have imputed disabilities, which means they're disabilities that teachers may have recognised and we're putting in support for them, but they may not be formally diagnosed. And then there are those with hidden disabilities where for some reason or other, they maybe don't know, or maybe it's a mild disability, especially with mild, I'd say mild neurodivergence. There's different levels of neurodivergence. But there are those who don't come across as having a disability, but really with the right supports they can achieve. And so I'm going to talk about some Google tools today that I use in my classroom and some strategies I use to support all learners around that digital accessibility. Especially post-COVID, I've seen a lot of people use Google Classroom a lot more, and a lot of people use it as a place to dump things and expect kids to know how to navigate that world. So I'm going to talk about a few different tools and strategies to use today.
And I'm going to just add, as you're about to get started, that I've known Alfina for a long time and she does not bite. So if you have questions as we go along, please put them in the chat or even put your hand up, and I'm sure we'd be happy to try and deal with them as we go along.
And I remember, sorry, I'm going to jump in again. I remember like people giving the metaphor that, you know, the cutouts at the edge of the footpath where you go down the ramp and go the road is one of those things that works for everyone, not just people who need those cutouts. So a lot of this amazing stuff that you share with us, and I thank you so much, Alfina, for sharing the story and all this cool stuff, helps everyone, you know, and that's the beautiful part about this, I think.
And Steve just mentioned the cutouts, and that comes to my next point of universal design for learning, which comes from architecture. So I met an amazing lady, Dr. Natalie Thompson from Charles Sturt last year, and she is a specialist in digital accessibility and UDL and universal design. And she was explaining that the demountable that they put in schools is actually more expensive to purchase a demountable with a ramp than it is with stairs. So at the first point, they tend to buy the ones with stairs, and then they have to retrofit afterwards, which actually costs more expensive than buying the ramp building to start off with. And so Universal Design for Learning is by this great organization called cast.org if you want to learn more about it. And last year they released version 3.4. And they talk about multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and multiple means of action and expression, with the idea of learner agency as the overarching principle. And this is heavily based in research. If you want to see where all this comes from, I strongly suggest you visit the CAST website. So I'll be talking a lot about UDL principles, universal design principles, and I'll be using some of these engagement, representation, and action expression when I talk about some of the tools and how they support those categories. And this is a typical example of UDL, of non-UDL, I should say. And I stole this from Facebook somewhere some years ago, and I love showing this. So snowed in environment, we've got someone clearing the stairs and a person in a wheelchair is asking for the ramp to be shoveled first. And he's being told to wait his turn because he'll do the stairs first, and then he'll do the ramp. But then the wheelchair gentleman saying, well, if you do the ramp, we can all use it. And that's, I know when I went through my teaching degree, I was learnt to program the core first, then think about your extension, and then think about your supports. But then what about those kids when I think about my son who's really clever but needs supports to get there? That's the both ends of the spectrum. So this is where universal design comes in. And captioning is one of those really simple universal design tools. And I use captioning a lot. And I get very frustrated, I know, when captions are not available, because for me, it's just a simple accommodation that you could do. It engages people, because there are some people who need to read. I know I find accents really difficult. So when there's subtitles, even if someone's speaking English, subtitles help me with that accent as well. So it engages me. It reduces my cognitive load and the cognitive load of those students who you're using in your classroom, teaching in your classroom. It's a personal strategy as well. I know that I teach my students, even all my kids, I say, turn on the captions when you watch a video. And there's no excuse for incorrect spelling. Like I teach science, no excuse for incorrect spelling if you're copying from the subtitles and the spelling. So Chris, you want to add something?
Yeah, I will. Years ago, Alfina, literally when I was at, I called it a teacher's college, Sure, it's not called that now. But I remember someone telling me a story that of an incident in some school district in the US where one of the schools had an extraordinarily big spike in their literacy and way above all the other schools in the district, and no one could understand why. And when they sent people out to try and investigate, are they using a different teaching methodology? Like, why are they having such a literacy spike? It turned out that the only difference was everything they watched on television, they watched with closed captions on. It was the only difference. And I hope you don't mind me doing this to your slide, but down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red pill-shaped thing. I've actually linked to some research that talks about the efficacy of closed captioning. Because I've never been able to find the research that my lecturer told me about, because I forgot about it and then didn't think about it. But there is tons of research out there. In fact, the only time they say it doesn't really have an effect is if you're getting the subtitles in a language script that is not the one that you speak. So, for example, if you're trying to learn, if you're an English speaker trying to learn Chinese, putting Chinese transcript doesn't help a lot. But if it's in a language you understand, apparently it helps greatly.
There's also a lot of research I did as part of my last master's on captioning, and like at the deaf hard of hearing degree that I did, there's a lot of frustration around if captions are incorrect. And I know that a lot of AI captions are getting better. I've seen a massive improvement in captions, and however, it is frustrating when you put captions on and they either don't match what's being said.
Perhaps we should actually just invite people to press the closed caption button here and they can try it out. Yeah,
there's closed captions in Meet. There's so I've got a couple of videos like this video here that I've got here. So if you're on a Chromebook or if you're using Chrome, you can turn on live captioning, which is like it comes down the bottom of your screen. In a Chromebook, it comes down the bottom near the clock, but in Chrome, you'll have to go through the side menu. And so this particular video, which is on my YouTube, turning on captions in Chrome, that video on the NCCD website, for those who don't know NCCD, that is our disability collection of data. No captions on that podcast. So you can see on this picture here, there's a little overlay, and that comes picks up the audio and puts that overlay captions onto your screen. And I also love it because I can listen to something like a podcast, which most of them aren't transcribed, on a different tab, and that'll follow my tab depending on where I am. So if I'm working and listening at the same time, I can sort of then glance if I didn't hear something correct. So that's a really good tool to use with students. YouTubes do have captions, most of them do, and there's also the show transcript now in the description. So if kids need to go back and jump back and forth to see rehear something, you can go back and click that and you'll see the captions.
I think last month, Google also added the ability for captions to be automatically added to any video you throw into Google Drive as well now.
Oh, I've seen that now too, yes. Yep. I haven't used Google Drive that often videos because it's been blocked for our students. We'll try to solve that problem later. But yeah, I've seen that come up a couple of times when I've made videos, which is fantastic. And also if you're in Google Slides, there is actually a caption preferences as well. So you could have a slide deck behind you on the screen and you can turn on that live captions. You can get it on the top of the screen, on the bottom of the screen. You sort of got a pick of where you want it. And it picks up your voice. And I'd like to just say it's just since it came, I think it came about 2 years ago now, it's improved so much. So you can be talking to the class and the captions are going in the background live on what you're saying, which is great for those kids who miss what you say. Like they can quickly see, oh, what did she say? Did I miss that pronunciation? And it's a really simple, easy tool to be able to engage students who would tune out as well. So.
Hey, can I just mention one thing, Alfina? For anyone that might have missed last month's episode of this, we talked about a thing called Class Tools last month, and Class Tools is a brand new thing from Google. You go back and watch the episode if you want to learn more, but basically it allows a teacher to have the live captions coming up on every student's device. And if the student wants, they can even turn on a thing to translate them into another language, and it'll live translate to any language you want. While you're just speaking English. So yeah, go back and visit last month's episode if anyone who's watching this wants to know more about that.
Even that live translate and even like companion mode in Meet, You can have EA or D students, or you can have new arrival students set their language and it will live translate for them. So at least you're engaging them in some way. And they're actually able to translate the language. I mean, I used to have Chinese students in my class with their little translators on their desk and they'd be frantically typing. So can you imagine if they can do that in real time, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And I talked about cognitive load. There's a lot of research coming out on cognitive load theory. And for those who don't know what that is, it's all about having too much in your mind. And it's always too much. And I'm guilty of it in the classroom, is going to kids, 15 minutes of talking, here's what we're doing, here's everything, off you go. And then you've got those kids whose attention span are really short going, what do we have to do? So it's about reducing that cognitive load, and that engages kids most kids who don't know what to do then get disengaged. So giving them bits of really tools to help them with that engagement. And I teach year 1 and year 2 science, and for a lot of them, we're using Google tools for the first time. And I've put here a screenshot from a Google slide deck that I created and I've shared on Google Classroom. But the grey space around the outside of your slide deck is your best friend for instructions, because the kids are working in that space. And when you present, they don't see what's on the outside. So 2 tools I love to use is Mote, which are voice notes, and Stickity, which is an add-on for slides, docs, and sheets and forms now, where all these little pictures, like the little ear here, the little step 1, step 2, type here, that's actually an animation. There is someone's Google Innovator project from America. Her name's Lauren, and it was made for universal designed for additional needs students. Great extension to use, and it gives you those really simple tools straight away. So with my year 1 students, I've got here, put the title of your slide here, and they can pick from those 3. Straight away, I've got the spelling, I've got the instruction, but I've also done a Mote recording for those who are low literacy, so they can hear my instruction, and that's around the outside. In this video, this screenshot's a couple of years old now, but when my students had access to Drive videos, I also put a video. If they double tap it, it plays. They don't have to do it in present mode. And that was a quick screencast of all the tools in the toolbar. So for those kids that forgot what they all are, they can watch that and be independent. So for those kids who sit there going, I don't know what to do, I need help. And a lot of those younger kids get very overwhelmed that way. Using that grey side to give instructions. I've used it on drawings where I've put on the side, I've put all the instructions on the side. And now with Google tabs in Docs, I now have an instruction tab, and the next tab is where they get started. So trying to use some of these tools and prompts to sort of organize what I share on Classroom, so it sets them up for success, especially for those that need repetition of instructions. Executive functioning, really big for neurodivergent students, where they don't know where to start. And again, reducing cognitive load. So I love comments on the side used to prompt students. So I'll give feedback in comments, and kids will respond sometimes. I also, at the end of each lesson, if I've got a project, I will say to them, right before we finish, I want you to put a comment on where you're up to remind yourself when we come back next week, because I only see them once a week, what you're going to do next week, what's your goal. And they use that comment to then come back to, so they're not spending 10 minutes going through their work going, where was I up to last week? I do a lot of projects that take steps over time. The tabs now on the side, like I've got this one here that I did, I've got your task. So I had the task introduction, and then I broke up the dot points into different pages with research scaffolds, and then a page for references where they used Google Citations to bring in the references and then imported them from there. So using tabs to organize work. I did one last term where they had to research bush rangers, and the first page had their task, the second page had a table for to put in their information, and the third tab was their draft, where they can then type up based on their scaffold. And then they had a rubric as well on another tab where they can highlight where they thought they were up to in their mark, where would they self-reflect. So breaking things up for them in advance, even if they've got those kids who are really bright, this supports them as well, because some kids don't know how to organize their work. They don't know how to break open a big task. Chips is my other favorite. So this particular task here, I've broken it up into the 4 steps, and I set up the chip saying, have you started it? Are you working on it now? Or have you finished? And the kids put their chip tab. For some group tasks, kids have actually, in year 5 and 6, have actually made their own chips where they've done each other's names and they allocate each other the different sections. So they're starting to use what I've taught them with chips in their own group tasks. This is another similar to the one on the top. This one is like, I tried to pace them over the weeks, and I put green where they need to be up to in each week, what I expect them to have done each week. And then they rated themselves where they're up to. Have they started? Are they working on? Have they finished? So using those tools to support them with their organisation. I taught first year teachers at university for 6 months, and a lot of them did not have any self-organisation tools. So I'm really, when I work with my year 5 and 6s, I'm really big on going, right, how do we organise our work? How do we break open a task?
I was just going to say, Alfina, I think a lot of this is not that kids are lacking executive functioning. It's just that they're kids. They simply don't have the life experience or anything to know this stuff. So the fact that you're explicitly teaching it, whether you're doing it for, seeing it as a neurodivergent support kind of thing, or whether it's just like teaching kids how to be responsible people, I think it's just as valid, right?
I think a lot of kids have things done for them. Yeah. They've never really learnt to be independent. I know that seeing some parents organise their kids and not get the kids to do things for themselves. So even though this is me organising them, hopefully by the time they reach year 7 or end of year 6, they can then do this for themselves if they've been scaffolded and they've been modelled on how to organise themselves. And I've seen a lot of kids, especially my neurodivergent kids, get very overwhelmed at big tasks, especially big project tasks. So hopefully this supports them. I've seen a difference over the last few years bringing these in. So just another little way of sharing something on Google Classroom. So then there's not too much. But if there is too much, you make it manageable.
Yep. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Speech to text is another one of my favorite tools. Again, in my postgrad, I did so much research on speech to text. And I have worked with people who really don't like it because they see it as, kids have to write. My question would be, what's the purpose of the task? And in fact, in New South Wales, when you unpack the English syllabus in K1 and in primary, there is actually provision for accessibility tools for those who have difficulty writing in the handwriting part of the outcomes. Don't believe me? Go have a look. So I think for some kids, what do you want them to show? Do you want them to show their learning? Especially a subject area like science, I want them to show their knowledge. I want them to reflect on the experiments we've done. If writing is going to hold them back, if the process of writing is going to hold them back, why do they have to physically write? And we've used things like video recording and that sort of stuff too, but typing and writing stuff up is important, and getting kids to present things and create docs. So in slides, there is actually voice typing. You can voice type in the notes. So I would get kids to voice type in the notes and then copy and paste it into their slide deck. And in Google Docs, there's voice typing. And again, it reduces cognitive load. So a lot of research that I've seen talks about the mind dump, that kids just want to go blah, 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 blah. They talk it all out. And then you go back and you go, let's go over it and let's find out, voice typing's gotten better. Where does the full stop go? Where does a capital letter go? Does it make sense? So you do that right mechanic side, you come back to it after you've done the mind dump. And like I had a girl that I worked with, a high school student I worked with when I was on a placement for my teacher of the deaf degree. She, intellectual disability, we had to write a cover letter for a job. And so when we unpack the job, we role play the interview, and I'd use the questions from the job ad, and I'd voice record it, because she couldn't remember her responses. The voice recording captured her response, and then we went back and go, let's turn that into a cover letter now. And she was able to then, didn't have that, oh, what did I say? What did I do? Like, it had captured what she said. She was a great talker. She wasn't a great writer. So if we can capture that information in some way, voice typing is fantastic. I had a low literacy student in year 1 who would talk and use scientific language, but could not write at all. She would just use symbols because of where she was at. And for her then to voice type her reflection on an experiment, I was able to mark that and go, yep, she's a C. She was at sound. She was at grade level. If I got her to write, I probably wouldn't have gotten as much out of her. So it's a multiple means of action and expression. They're able to present their learning in a different way.
I'm going to throw a little plug in here for a Google tool called Recorder, which is an Android app, but it's also, if you've got a Chromebook Plus, it's also an app on the Chromebook Plus.
I love it.
You can record directly and it'll do the text transcription. And you can, what I like about it too is you can hop around in it from the text transcription, so you can jump to any point in the audio by clicking on that point in the text.
Nice.
Mm. What do you reckon? Another 2 minutes? Can we?
2 minutes? Yep. I think I got a couple of slides left, and then that's it. So Chrome reading mode. I love Chrome reading mode. It's in the Chrome browser. It's really accessible, and it is multiple means of engagement, because you can take a website and it creates this great, it removes all the rubbish. So it's a great one to play with. I think on a Chromebook, I've seen Kimberly Hall talk about this before, and there's more options on a Chromebook. On
a Chromebook, it will actually read to you. It's got it'll not only show the text, but you can hit play and it'll read it to you.
And like Lex and Decker, so all my font here is Lex and Decker. That's a dyslexic font, so that supports students with dyslexia. So if you're on a website, they're researching and they're finding it hard to read, reading mode will get rid of all the background stuff. You can change it to dark mode. You can change the text size. You can change the font, and on a Chromebook, it'll read to you. So that's a great tool to try to support students who just find websites messy and lots of information. It just makes it a lot simpler to read.
I know you're not talking specifically about the stuff in Chrome OS at the moment. You're talking about stuff in like Workspace and other apps. But if people are using Chromebooks for their kids, there's a ton of accessibility stuff at the Chrome OS level that may be subject for another episode.
Yeah. And the last one I'll talk about is Gemini in Classroom, which we just got only a few months ago in our workspace, which is fantastic. And in the tool Gemini section, there's a whole bunch of like things that you can click on, and one of the ones is relevel text. So I've taken a website, I took the original text, which I made simple in Chrome reading mode on the side, and I asked it to simplify, and it highlighted the words it simplified. And so if I have a child who is a lower reading level than the rest of my class, I can tell it to relevel the text to make it a bit more simpler for them, which means they've got the same text in front of them. I could probably gone even further and made that even simpler than what came up in Chrome, but in Gemini. But that's another great tool to support learners, and doesn't look much different to the original text, and it's nice, quick, easy. I remember the days when I had to sit there rewriting text on my own. So this is a great administration tool to help decrease teacher workload and make it easier to make text more accessible.
And if you have Classroom, it's free.
Yes. Yep, that's it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Alfina. I got a lot out of that actually. That was awesome. Fantastic. How do you say thank you in ASL? Oh, yeah, Auslan.
Auslan. So thank
Yeah.
you.
That. So I think, can we all go that to Alfina? Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Got a clap
And
for
happy birthday to you.
Jeremy.
And happy birthday as well.
Thank you.
Big celebrations. All right. Thanks, Alfina. We're going to jump into the change log. You are most welcome to stay around, or if you've got to go and rescue Ethan, that's okay too. All right. Yeah, so this is the change log. We talk every month about some of the new things that are coming up from Google. Steve, you didn't see this because you weren't here last week. I've changed the way we do this. So Google changed the mechanism by which they announce these things. So they updated to a much nicer experience. So if you go to workspaceupdates.googleblog.com or scan the little code, there's a site where they publish everything that comes out with Google. So when those people say to you, oh, how do I keep up with all this stuff? You're like, that's where you keep up with it. And so, yeah, go there, subscribe to it. There's a button there and it'll send you a thing. You can add it to your calendar. Like, if you want to keep up with this stuff, this is how you do it. I used to troll through all this every month and pull out all the really cool stuff. I've changed the way I do that, Steve. What I do now is I'm just going and linking directly out to all the stuff. It's just simpler.
Nice.
So some of the things I wanted to let you know about this month, and please do jump in at any point. Where's my slides? There we go here. Okay. So first of all, there used to be two versions of Google Gemini that was called Google AI, Gemini AI and Gemini AI Premium, I think was the name of it. We changed the names so often, I have no idea anymore. But they've merged into one, and so now there's only one subscription for education. And in fact, it's a pretty good deal, because if you're on the cheaper of the two, you now get all the features of the more expensive one at no cost, which I was very excited about. So there is that. Now, there's a lot of stuff I will talk about in this changelog where it is very Gemini related. There's a lot of vid stuff I noticed too coming through. So Steve, do you want to talk about this one? I can demo it if you want.
Oh yeah, so this is so a big update to Notebook LM is excuse me, is flashcards and quizzes. So because Notebook LM is available for students, so it's available for 0 to 13 in New Zealand, or 0 or K to 12 in Australia, they can actually jump in and use the flashcards or the quiz functionality in this with full data protection. All that sort of stuff lives inside your domain. So you can create a notebook, share it with your students as a view only, create all the resources from the right hand side there. So there's flashcards and the quiz.
Right? So
yeah,
since last month, I think we've added video overviews.
Video overview, yes.
And we've simplified the report thing.
Yeah.
Options now in the reporting. I don't know why that's taken.
And also the audio overview has different options to create in there as well.
Yes. If you click on the audio overview, you can now choose. You can choose a language. You can do it in any language, and you can tell it specifically what they should focus on.
Yep.
Really nice. Really nice. And I think that with flashcards as well, you can go in and you can say, do you want standard viewer, more, harder, easier, whatever, and it'll generate the flashcards for you. I've got an example of that here. I threw a bunch of things on the history of skateboarding, and here's a little skateboarding quiz. So I'll go in there. I haven't even looked at this yet, but
love it.
What is the answer? I do know that. Jeff Host. There you go. Got it. So there's a quiz. That's one example, and then the other thing was the flashcards, which I did make some flashcards. These ones here.
There you go.
So if you go in there, you've got you can read the question and then flip it around and read the answer and go on to the next one, and so on. So so nice little things that is built in now directly into Notebook LM.
Donna popped a question in there, Chris, asking about sheets or spreadsheet support. Yeah, Donna, it is one of the biggest questions at the moment, because being able to put into large data repositories in here would be a great one. It's definitely on the roadmap. What some people are doing is actually in a PDF of a sheet and dropping it in, and it'll actually read it as a data table. So there's a little hack, but no, we hear you. It is definitely on the roadmap, and there's a huge ask around that.
Cool. We make these slides available to everyone at the end, of course, so you've got all these links directly, so you can go chase them up. But another one I want to share with you was using Gemini to refine text in slides. So again, if I jump over to the actual article, you can see now that, again, if you've got a Gemini license, you've got the option down here, if you type something in a text box, you can pop up a little box and, shorten it, lengthen it, elaborate on it, make it more casual, whatever. So that is now, or it's been there in docs for a while, but it's now in slides. I guess that's the point. Help me creating Google Vids now supports slides. I feel like this has been there for a little while, so people might know about this already. But yeah, so if you have I've always said, and I think most people agree with me, that there seems to be a lot of overlap between slides and vids in terms of the UI and the interface and user experience. So, I think it's very clever on Google's part to do it that way, because people who might be intimidated by making videos but are comfortable doing slides can jump into vids and go, oh, this feels familiar. One of the things it now can do is actually import a slide deck directly. So if you've got a set of slides, point it towards vids and it will suck it in and turn it into a little video for you, which is kind of nice and saves you a lot of time.
And I actually find that, like, if I'm using Screencast to screen record what I'm doing, if I'm, this is obviously my ADD brain speaking here, if I'm trying to click through things and read things, my voiceover is not as good as if I actually add it to vids, turn it into video, play it, and then speak over it in vids. So I actually find it easier to do my voiceover in vids rather than in Screencast. So I'll record it in Screencast, then drop it into vids.
Well,
just helps me with my ADD brain kind of focus a little bit better.
Nice. The converting images to video with Veo 3 in Google Vids. Again, this is another one that I've seen a few people do some really cool stuff with lately. You can now upload an image directly in and then say, give it a prompt to turn that into a video clip. I've seen a few teachers showing this lately where they get their kids to draw like, monsters or characters or whatever, and then they'll take a photo of the kid's work, turn it into an image, and then turn the image into a video. So this crayon drawing that the student's drawn suddenly turns into this animated monster climbing off the page. It's a really cool idea. So,
and actually, Chris, if you follow Dean Stokes, he's just posted about exactly that. Turned his daughter's drawing into a video for her. She was absolutely stunned by it.
Nice. Well, we are having a Google Energizer for the Google community in the next couple of weeks. One in Auckland next week, one in Sydney a couple of weeks after that. And we've been asking people to create. We're running a vids challenge. We're asking people to make a 2-minute video with vids, and there's a couple of them where people are showing how they're doing this drawing to movie pathway. It's very cool. The other thing that they've added in vids, lots of stuff in vids, is to create AI avatars in vids. So, there's always people who hate appearing in the movie themselves. You can now get an AI avatar to step in and do that for you. I'm sure all of it is a bit long, but so you can write a script and then choose a character. Like so. Then that character, you choose that and generate. And that character will then read your script for you. And it does a pretty incredible job too.
Each character has a different style of voice as well. So you can choose which style of voice you like better.
Welcome to the Symbol Outdoor Goods product support page. We're here to help address common questions about the latest product in our line of camping essentials.
There you go. So that's how it works. I think it's, if you haven't played with it, go to Vids, have a play. Steve, is that Gemini license only?
At the moment, I believe you can get it with an Education Plus license for the next year. So there is kind of an intro offer with that. So yeah, have a look and see if it's in there for you. But yeah, it used to be a Gemini only, but it is available for people who have Edu Plus as well, I believe.
Fantastic. Let's go page 2. Edit videos more easily using the transcript in Google Vids. So now your Vids will do a transcript for you, and if you want to edit the video, you can actually edit just the transcript. So if you want to remove a sentence instead of editing the actual video, just copy and paste the sentence out, and the video will edit. So that's nice. edit Google Drive videos in your browser using Google Vids. This is cool. If I just flip over and show you what this looks like. So now if you go to into Vids or go into Drive and open any video file inside your Drive, there's a little button in the top corner now. So you see she's opening that video. Go up to the top, there's an open button, and it will open that video from Drive in Vids to allow you to edit it. So again, taking lots of steps out of the process, I think.
And as we were talking about with Alfina, there has been quite a lot of work with videos in Drive. So there was captioning first, and there was transcripts. Now there's editing with vids inside of Drive. So there's been a lot of work done around Drive video.
Vids is getting a lot of attention, I can see. Mr. Causa, hello.
You're on mute, Tim.
Just a minute. Sorry, I'm a bit dumb. It's late in the afternoon. Vids and WebM format, what's the deal? Like,
say again?
It's the Google native format, and yet you can't use WebM. What's going on?
A great question. Don't know.
He stumps the expert.
Don't know. Don't understand. Don't know the back end, Tim. But definitely, yeah. No, I realise you can't drop it in. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Nobody's like WebM for editing. Like everywhere you go, sorry, can't edit that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just an output format that's too much compression or something to. I don't know. No idea.
Great question.
It's a bit like sheets in Notebook.
Yeah. Just jump into this last couple. So now you probably know that there's a feature inside Google Calendar where you can set up a schedule where people can book meetings with you, and it used to sit on your actual calendar page. It disappeared for me this week, and I got all concerned because I couldn't find it anywhere. And I realized they've moved it over here to the side, so it's now over in the left panel. So if you are missing that, or if you want to make one, there's now a section on the side of calendar that says booking pages, and that's where they now live, and that's where you can make new ones. Yes, Tim.
And you actually have multiple calendars into the one page now as well, which is really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know whether it's part of this update because I hadn't noticed before, but it actually updates live your booking calendar when you put something else in your calendar now, whereas before your slots and your calendar were sort of independent.
Oh, okay. I thought it was always live.
Okay,
maybe it's live now, apparently.
Anyway,
Gemini Live. So if you are talking with Gemini, if you're on a phone, I know it's on Android. I don't know. Is it on iOS as well? Gemini Live.
Yeah, there is. There's a fruit app for it as well.
Okay, so if you're using Gemini Live, which is basically where you're just chatting with your voice to your Gemini app on your phone, it can now also bring in information from calendar tasks and keep into your conversation. So if you can say, I've got a note there about something, tell me what it was, or what tasks have I got, or what's on my calendar. Gemini is now aware of that sort of stuff.
And it'll also go the other way really beautifully. So open your camera, take a photo of a cake or a recipe and say, can you give me all the ingredients for this, and flick it out to my my shopping list inside of Keep.
Yeah, nice. I like that idea. And then just the last one here is Public Notebooks in partnership with OpenStax. OpenStax is it's the leading provider of free peer-reviewed textbooks. So they're free, open source. I assume they're open source, but they're free textbooks. And what's happening is there's partnership happening with that and Notebook LM. And so now you can go into the courses that are like the textbooks that are available. So let's do biology, and we'll click on that, and that will open up my Notebook LM. And there's the OpenStax course for biology. And it's just taking a moment to load. But you can see all the chapters of the textbook down the side here, and all of the different studio things. So there's quizzes and audio files and all sorts of stuff in there created from those resources. But you can come into the section here and you can start interrogating that content. So you can start asking questions, or for especially for senior students, university students, or even sort of senior high school students, the ability to open those textbooks and actually engage directly with the content by typing in and chatting with the content. It's pretty cool.
Knowing that you're also respecting copyright as well, so you're not sort of using a book you've got the rights to use in here. So yeah, this is a really nice partnership.
Yeah. So So there you go. Oops, sorry. We want to go back to, where do we want to go back to? We want to go back to that. So that's just some of the stuff we pulled out. If you go to the change to the actual Google Updates website, there's actually more stuff. I only pull out the things that I think are interesting and relevant. But there might be other things in there that are interesting and relevant to you. So do take a look if you're not sure.
Hey Chris, I've just dropped in a link into the chat, which is a bit.ly what's new with GFE 25, which will take you to the live slides of the updates as well. So it's another place to kind of keep an eye on things. It's more curated than that one, so there's not as much on there. But there is kind of a Google for Education focused one at that link.
It's also worth saying that workspace updates thing I told you about is only workspace. So it's not talking about Chromebooks. It's not talking about some of the other things that Google are doing. And one of the things that just came out the other day, and we'll maybe talk about it next month, is the what's the word for it, Steve? The AI classes that they're doing, you know, like the AI workshop things.
Certifications?
Not certifications. The like. This is why I didn't do it this week, because I'm not on top of it yet. We'll do it next month.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a whole new resources and learning resources around AI is what you mean?
That's the one I'm thinking about. Yeah. Let's
we can pick it up.
We'll
And there is, just before you head across to closing off with your hot tip, there is one update that I will just quickly share.
Yeah.
And it's a global rollout. I might just quickly pinch the screen share off you for a moment there, sir. Let me go present now. I am going to quickly present this because this is something that is massively exciting.
Is this the thing you said that just got released just now?
If you have this is my school account, and this is Gems, and you'll now see this little box has popped up saying you can now share your Gems with others. So this has been rolling out across the globe. It started about 4 days ago, and so this is my New Zealand school domain with Gems shareable. So teachers can now, I'm so excited about this, it's ridiculous. They can build a gem and share it across their domain. There are also possibilities of sharing outside of domain, depending on your sharing settings. But the other beautiful one for Australia, New Zealand, end of year, of course, create a gem, share it with your students. They can use it as their study buddy. So amazing update. Tim, you're right. That's one of the next iterations is coming, but this one, super exciting, coming right before school break for Australia and New Zealand. So teachers can get out there and rejig some of their gems and to now know they are shareable. I'm so excited.
Fantastic. And just let me know if anyone wants me to share my Pluto, the Cranky Planet gem.
Love it.
Because it's
very excited about that.
So just to finish off with a couple of things, just a little quick segment that I wanted to throw in this month called Hot Tip. 2 hot tips for you. One is something I learned today that I did not know. If you mark your video when you upload it to YouTube as made for kids, which if you're a teacher seems like a logical thing. Yeah, made for kids. That sounds good. Kids are like, yeah, sure. What it actually means is there's a whole bunch of implications of that. Some of the main ones being like you can't add it to a playlist. You can't have the comments or channel memberships. People can't subscribe, that kind of thing. So, if you are making content for kids, just be aware that made for kids means made for kids, not made about kids.
Yeah, okay. And that's because it goes into the YouTube for Kids style of YouTube. So YouTube for Kids obviously is heavily curated with what the content is, and that's why you've got the no likes and no subscribes, because that's all the social stuff that gets taken out with YouTube Kids.
Yeah, and the other hot tip I had was, again, someone who was in the Bids challenge making a video, and they were saying, wouldn't it be cool if you could balance the audio and you could like duck the audio down and lower the volume of the audio while there's a narration track? Well, you actually can. It's right there in Vids. It's a little bit not obvious. So if you want to do that, if you're creating a vid, you've got some music, you've got a narration track under that music. If you just select one of the audio tracks, choose the balance sound option, and then say apply to all audio, it will automatically go through and just balance all the audio, which is a nice thing that's maybe not so obvious. So hot tip. Nice. All right. That wraps us up. Thanks everyone for joining this week, this month. As I say, this recording will end up on YouTube in the next hour or so. And if you want to head over to there and jump onto that, please do subscribe. And you can access all the episodes, including the last one we talked about with class tools, in case you missed that. If you want a certificate, there's the address there, bit.ly/GFE certificate, or scan the code, fill that in, and the magic of the internet, the monkeys will get to work and they will send you a certificate pretty quickly. And I'll leave this on the screen for anyone who wants to please scan that. Please let us know any feedback. We are coming to the end of 2025. We'd love to keep doing this into 2026, but I don't know. Do you want us to do that? Tell us. Hit that feedback button and let us know what you want, what you enjoy, what you don't like, and we will try and do our best to make you happy.
Amazing.
Steve, that wraps us up.
Beautiful. Ka kite anō, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Chris, again for putting this together. Always informative and always helpful. And thank you to Alfina. I think she's gone out to be with her family, which makes a lot of sense, for sharing both her story and her top tips.
Yep, absolutely. Good on you. Thanks, everyone. Shutting down the recording now. We will hang around for a couple of minutes if anyone wants to do any off-camera questions, but thanks for being here.